My first political podcast.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, if I bring up Ariel's boyfriend, just pretend you don't know who I'm talking about.
I don't know if I can lie about that.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's fine. No one's listening.
I don't know him, so.
I might be vague about it. Just don't point out. So I won't use names.
Okay.
I might talk about the white supremacist I was forced into a conversation with.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a full blown.
Oh,
white
is he?
nationalist now? Yeah.
Wait, but I thought he was like.
Sorry, we can start.
Okay. Whoa.
Welcome to Blamestorming. Blamestorming. In a post-truth world, there's plenty of blame to go around. 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 Join Dave Cyrus and Marissa Smith as they blamestorm about today's hot topics.
Hey guys, welcome to Blamestorming. Hi, I'm Dave Cyrus. With me, as always, is Marissa Smith.
Hey guys.
We also have some guests today. We have Sally Ann Hall.
Hello.
She just said hello. And Leah Braswell.
I am also going to say hello.
Thank you. Sally Ann is a friend of mine in comedy. Mm-hmm. She is a very good comedian. Another person that I know, of course, from the roast battles, the comedy fight clubs. And you do all of them. You do all the fight clubs.
I'm actually just, they made me an official. I am the official women's studies major of Fight Club.
Oh, that's nice. That's good. I'm glad everyone's getting labels. And Leah is a very respected musician, a drummer particularly, but a musician in general, who I've been friends with for a very long time. Not a comedian, but someone with very astute political beliefs.
Oh, well, thank you.
Very, very well-defined beliefs, and I would love for us to get into a fight today.
I would not love to get into a fight today.
Well, I'm trying to make things that can be as antagonistic as possible because I really want to get things going with you ladies. I really want to be the enemy here
If there
today.
was a fight that were to happen, what would the fight be about, Dave?
Oh. It's one
Therein
of those
lies
things-
the excitement.
Therein lies the rub.
I just feel like as the only man here, it is my responsibility to be what they call the devil's advocate.
Oh, yes.
See, ladies, the devil's advocate is
So
one.
now you're going to mansplain devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm used to this by now, so.
Well, Mercy, you don't have to literally say the name of the bit as I'm doing it. You see, when you're trying to do a bit, Marissa, what you want to do is say is just
So, Sally, how has the Fight Club been treating you?
Oh, my God, right? I, as a women's studies major, I live for this sort of thing. I'm like, please. I want to, play, that, mansplaining bingo where if he checks all the boxes. I love that. I love it. I live for it.
If I don't play devil's advocate, who is going to say the things the devil would?
Oh my God, that's so fucking true.
Probably all of us, apparently.
Right, because you're women. Yeah,
Exactly.
But no, there's a lot of things this week that I'm dying to talk about. It's been a little while. The news just keeps coming. There's a lot of it. Just a few things we wanted to touch on. I mean, there's Jeremy Corsi, the author of Where's the Birth Certificate, who has apparently just made a plea deal with Robert Mueller, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
I'm very happy about that. Not that it's going to destroy Trump, but just because it hurts him.
Yeah, I mean, but who's gonna suffer because he was hurt? Who is he gonna?
Roger Stone.
He's
Roger Stone is going to jail because
Hopefully.
Jeremy Corsi wants to not go to jail. Now, it's just great because it's nice that this whole obstruction and Russia investigation is getting back to the original people we wanted to punish, the people who pretended Obama was born in Kenya. And, Chris Matthews makes the best point about it, which is the argument is that Barack Obama's mother smuggled him here as a baby because even though he was born in Kenya, she really wanted him to be eligible to run for president. That she had this plan he'd be president someday, which is, of course, the only reason you would smuggle a baby in. If a baby's born to an American citizen in Kenya, it will then come to America and have all the same citizenship rights. There's literally nothing you would lose out on except maybe running for president. Mm-hmm. But, as he points out, if she was that keen on him running for president, why would you name him Barack Hussein Obama? Wouldn't you name him George Washington Jefferson? The name we all assume the first black president would have?
Oh, totally.
But yeah, that's so Jeremy Corsi. He's the author of Where's the Birth Certificate?
Now,
Have you guys read that, by the way?
No, is it well written?
A lot of typos, I hear.
So now he plays into like the WikiLeaks part of this.
Yeah.
This whole collusion.
Right,
thing.
because we know that there were people coordinated with Assange, and Assange was coordinating with the Russian intelligence.
And he was basically the go-between between Roger Stone and Assange. Is that what they're like the gist of the?
Yeah, he's part of the chain of information that
Okay.
they have been breaking down. And Roger Stone knows he's going to jail now because he's been publicly saying the FBI is making Jeremy Corsi lie about me. Of course, he doesn't know what Jeremy Corsi said. So it's kind of like when somebody walks into comes home from work and says to his wife, "Hey, listen, anything happened today? No? Well, if any women call you today, they're goddamn liars." It just doesn't look right.
Do you think that that Mueller is going to be fired before any of this?
He very well might
to
be.
surface?
But the problem,
Surface?
he very well might be. But Matt Whitaker, there's a lot of pressure on him because Matt Whitaker, by the way, who is a criminal, is an alleged, guy who defrauded people out of millions of dollars with his company. I think he's aware that a Saturday Night Massacre would look bad, and I think Trump will do it anyway. And it's going to be one of the main parts of the impeachment because pardons and anything like that, if it directly affects an investigation that affects the president, it can be obstruction of justice. He is obstructing people from getting justice, and the Constitution says even a president cannot be his own judge. So I think he very well may fire Mueller. The problem is Mueller knows what he's doing, and Mueller is prepared for that, and it's not going to stop anything. And also, you can't just fire Mueller. You need a reason.
Yeah, like what? Yeah, I'm like,
And
what
that
do you mean? Why
reason-
would they fire Mueller?
And because they want to fire Mueller.
Well, I know they want to, but what would be the official
Exactly.
reason?
They don't have an official reason. So whatever that reason would be trumped up, and that in and of itself would be something that you could impeach someone for.
I see.
By trumping up charges.
Oh.
It's exactly what would happen because Whitaker wants to be Robert Bork. Robert Bork was the guy that Nixon got to finally fire everyone, and it tainted his career forever.
Well, Whitaker kind of already stated his plan of how you would defund the Mueller investigation to the point where they wouldn't be able to afford to continue the investigation, which would basically put it in a halt where he wouldn't actually fire Mueller, but he would just defund the program so much that they wouldn't be able to send the FBI to investigate people. They wouldn't be able to afford the lawyers
Mueller's
or any of that.
probably already passed that threshold. He's probably already spent the money he needs. I think he's been preparing for this. And also now that we have a Democratic House, that would complicate things for the Republicans just sweeping all this away. Because now they get to investigate every direct thing that Whitaker does involved in the investigation back. So it's a much bigger headache for Trump than it was before.
Has Mueller gotten in touch with Julian Assange at all?
Well, we know that there was a warrant. We know that there was charges drafted over the summer that were leaked, so that there very well could still be an arrest for Assange. And look, people used to talk about Julian Assange like he was some kind of hero, and I know liberals who talked about it like that.
Yeah, his character arc is the interesting one in this story to me. I'm like, is he a criminal? Is he a villain or
Yes,
not?
he is.
He's very much a villain.
He is. Think of it this way. Julian Assange would be like if somebody came out with, hey, I found, remember when they invented that nail polish that stops women from getting roofied?
What?
Oh, that's a famous thing. There was a nail polish that
you
you could
put it
on
in your drink, and
and
then
then
it
you
changes
can-
color if it.
and
has,
it's a great
that's-
it's a great way to catch guys, and it
Yeah.
definitely discourages guys because now they know they can get caught in the moment.
Of course.
And of course, there were a few lying, toxic people who wanted to make feminism look bad by pretending this was a bad thing. But everyone who with half a brain knew that this was a good thing. Now, imagine if someone came out with that, and they're like, "Yeah, this is really cutting down on people getting roofied," and then the guy came out and said, "Hey, by the way, the product now only works when Hispanic men do it." That's okay, right? I mean, we're still stopping roofies, right? But we're not going to stop white men from roofing. That's essentially what Julian Assange did. He said he was doing something good, and then he said, oh, but we're only going to attack liberals. We're going to expose all the secrets of liberals only.
Oh, okay.
That's what's so evil about Julian Assange. And that he is a guy trying to say, oh, we're making everyone know everything. We're going to just expose everything to the light, except if you're a fascist who works with Putin, or if you're an autocrat, or if you're someone who's trying to crack down on gay rights, or someone who hates immigration. Those people we're going to keep safe. But if you're someone who believes in, helping refugees and gay rights and anything else liberals believe in, you're the one who deserves to have your secrets exposed.
But isn't it basically because he's simpatico with that like fascist, like misogynistic regime because he's a rapist? Like the whole reason why.
Well, he has been accused of rape, yeah.
The whole reason why he's in an asylum, living in an asylum for like almost 3 years now?
More than that, I think. Yeah.
Is because he was accused of rape in his own country, and
he's fighting extradition.
Yeah.
And of course, he wants to say, like everyone, when they're caught doing something like that, this is one of those examples of this being fake.
Right.
Which, everyone does. Michael Avenatti wants to make the fact that he was accused of smacking around his girlfriend responsible for, the responsibility of that 20-year-old who was paying off people to say that Robert Mueller molested them. Mm-hmm. But of course, well, who accused you, Avenatti? Was it a random woman you never met, or was it your live-in girlfriend? Because I really don't think he paid off your live-in girlfriend.
Oh my gosh!
If it was, believe me, if this was a homeless woman you'd never met, I would 100% believe you didn't touch this woman. But the fact that you live in the same address kind of tips me off that maybe you did this.
Yeah.
Also, I agree. We all agree. We all hate Michael Avenatti already, right? Didn't we already find him that he was making us look bad?
He's a chaotic good.
Well, yeah, he's on our side, but he makes us look bad. He's a douchebag.
Yeah, douche.
Yeah, definitely a douche. But sometimes you have to fight douche with douche. I just feel like
fight douche. That's a great slogan for a douche.
You know what I mean? It's you need sometimes a douche to counterbalance other douches.
And that's especially prescient you say that because, of course, douches are actually not very good for you. So you should fight them.
Well,
absolutely.
because we're self-cleaning.
Yeah, the human body actually has ways of shutting that whole thing down.
Tell us more about the female body,
Yes,
please. So, but Julian Assange, villain or no? Where did we land?
He's a bad person.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he is a monster.
Yeah.
His plan was to help right-wing authoritarians get into power by exposing the secrets of liberals. That's why in the last election, we saw what happened when only one side's emails come out.
Ugh.
We saw what happened when John Podesta's emails come out, and even when there is no smoking gun, if you can see people's personal conversations, that's enough for them to decide you're a bad person.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't do anything. Just the fact that you have those personal conversations, people would say, oh, well, look what she did, without even reading what they were.
I just don't understand why anyone on that side of things with Roger Stone and with Trump, always accusing people and paying people off, saying and accusing Bill Clinton and everyone around them that they were rapists and that they were abusing things like that. That Hillary had actually fought off these people or defended her husband and stuff. That's what confuses me, is that these lies are very blatant and obvious, but they're still being accepted by the mass, and yet these emails that don't seem to have the most that
no one reads
insane-
past headlines.
Yeah.
People, if they see a headline that says smoking gun, they'll just repeat that. And I've had conversations with Republicans who will literally, I've had conversations where this one Republican said two things that were amazing. One, he said, CNN lies constantly. And I said, Nate, give me one example. And he threw the biggest tantrum I've ever seen an adult throw in my life, because in that moment, I realized even he didn't know any. And I said, okay, give me an example. And he starts Googling. An hour later, he sends me, well, CNN said that their ratings were as good as Fox News's. And then Fox News said that was a lie. And I looked it up. I was like, well, CNN was using the measure of how many total viewers they had over the course of an hour. And Fox News was using the measure of how many viewers they had at any one time. Meaning 1 million people saw CNN for at least 1 minute in this hour. Mm-hmm. But more people stayed on Fox News.
Gotcha.
So CNN
totally
was like,
different metrics.
Technically, we had the same number of people. Yours just and I'm like, if that's your example of why the news media lies constantly, you just admitted you are desperately full of shit. Yeah. Same guy said, Hillary Clinton has been convicted of multiple crimes. And I was like, you can't even name a crime she was formally accused of. She hasn't even been indicted.
Yeah.
And this is, and you wait, and they Google, and then they get really sad, and then they change the subject. And it's like, that's what we're dealing with.
And that's when you come.
Yeah. And that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with people who really do live in that kind of fog, where they don't even know what they believe.
But but that is exactly what they think about us, like those, like
Yeah.
word for word, where they're like, liberals, they say all these things, bad things about Trump. They can't even actually name. They can't even like name any of his and honestly,
And you start rattling them off, and they'll just say, "Well, those are all lies. Those are you just
Well,
believe."
that's the mainstream media.
and that's the brilliant plan that Trump has executed, is being like, oh, make them mistrust the media. I can say whatever the fuck I want.
And the funny thing is it's not even stuff that it's like accusatory. The media isn't accusing Trump of these things. It's Trump actually saying
It's
all
like,
of this.
did you read the
verbatim.
tweet? This is from his
Yeah.
account.
When I was in Texas at the when I was writing for Triumph the Dog on Colbert, we were covering the Ted Cruz, Beto O'Rourke. Last week I couldn't say what it was there for. I saw people asked about things that Trump said, and she says, "Well, I don't believe any of what the media says he said." The media isn't saying he said anything.
They're
They're
recording.
showing video of it.
It's footage. It's playback. It's
Yeah.
not manipulated.
If
It's
you guys will-
hours of footage.
If you guys will indulge me for a second, I have a rant that just specifically, to me, explains exactly how we ended up here with them believing everything Trump says.
Ooh, I'll turn
Okay.
my vibrator
Does it have to
on.
do with God?
Somewhat. If it turns how far back you go. If you just go back to George W. Bush. George W. Bush was someone that millions of Republicans felt deep shame for being fooled by. For someone that they defended, they said the Iraq War had to happen, and then almost unanimously they all stopped defending him once his popularity collapsed and he was no longer president. However, you saw in a lot of people like Dan Quayle's son, a lot of Republicans, as soon as Barack Obama became president, they felt like the only way to salvage our dignity is to somehow make Barack Obama as hated a president as George W. Bush.
Yes.
The problem was Obama didn't give them anything big to use against them. So they had to just fabricate a
Obamacare.
world where he was. But they had to fabricate a world
He
where
wore a
Obama
tan
was.
suit.
Not just Obamacare. I mean, I'm talking about the deep, fucked up, Jeremy Corsi, where's the birth certificate type of politicians. They just started building this false reality where Obama was getting away with hundreds of crimes, where he's a gay hustler, where he's pimping children at a pizza place, where he's personally, working with the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah.
They invented this entire false reality because it's the only thing that would make their worldview make sense, that no, Bush wasn't bad. Every president's this bad, and now we have to believe in this false reality to get people to believe that Obama is this horribly, monstrously bad. Otherwise, we'll never get another Republican president. And then when Obama was no longer president, they were like, well, there's still obviously this fake media in place that's been lying to us, because these people walking around be like, how come the media never talks about all the children Obama is selling for sex? How come they ever talk about all these horrible Muslim things he's doing? And they had to believe that all reality was a construct, so that when it was reversed and Trump was actually doing hundreds, telling thousands of lies, doing hundreds of things that everyone hates, they were able to say, well, all reality is a lie to make Obama look good. So obviously it's still going.
Wow. That also really just explained my dad's journey in the last 12 years, from a normal person to only gets his news from right-wing radio. And yeah, believed things like that Obama had internment camps that he would send, the political protesters to, and he truly believed that and believes that.
Do you remember where those internment camps were, by the way? Where they often said they were? I don't know if you
I
were...
didn't. I did not. I
Because
changed the subject. It
I
was a
remember-
wonderful family dinner.
Because I remember a lot of people thought those internment camps were the Katrina tents that were still... They thought that,
didn't
you
hear
remember how
that.
Katrina had tents for years because of how many people were homeless? Because Republicans are so angry over all charity from the government, they had to make up this idea that instead of caring for homeless people, these were concentration camps. And I interviewed one conspiracy guy about it, and I said, well, how do you know? He goes, well, you see tanks connected to them. I'm like, you mean like oxygen or propane? No. That's really all you...
Wait, tanks to gas them with? What?
Yeah, they saw gas tanks, like propane. And they were like, well,
that's all they needed?
Yeah, these are people who live in a desperate fog of confusion.
I have been on 2 dates with 2 separate Christian conspiracy theorist dudes when Obama was president, and they both had very similar conspiracy where Obama was like, obviously like Antichrist, like, you know, bad guy, but that he would drink children's blood specifically. And they both were like, yeah. Everyone knows that he's like an agent of the Dark Lord. Like I'm an idiot. And how did twice this happened?
Yeah, we need to get
Where
into
are they
that.
from?
From like Texas and like the Midwest, like very Christian places. They came to New York. They fucking got like like 9/11 truthing.
Was
shit.
one of them James Mack?
No.
He's just a roast battler we know who it turns out
No.
has some hilarious beliefs.
Oh, one of them is also a flat earther, I found out. And that's the one I let touch my boobs. So
We really need to talk about how you ended up on dates with two of these men because
I am not a hard person to
I'll
date.
let one
you asked
slide.
me out.
we can let one. That is a hard one.
I didn't go on a second date.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. They didn't tell you they're flat earthers on the, on Tinder.
No, I would have stopped them at Christian. They could
Well, that brings up another point that, like, I've seen all these Republicans talk about how liberal women, owe them their vaginas. Like, they act like liberal women are. Like,
Yeah.
you are to blame for me hating you
Like-
because you won't fuck me just because of my horrifying beliefs.
Yeah, like we're withholding a basic human right from you.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
what they treat it like. Like
Yeah.
you're
Well-
like, you have to give me food and water. It's like, no, this is not a need.
Right. That's what the Australia's Prime Minister Abbott said years ago. He said that there needs to be a compromise between women's control of their bodies and men's desire to have sex with them.
Prostitution it exists, sex work. I don't
Yeah.
know.
See, I don't think he would consider that a compromise. I think he would consider that just giving it all to you women. If it has to be for
We're
money.
giving you the dick and our money?
What if I'm really good at it? Why do I have to pay?
To be fair, I'm like, I don't know. I've been getting dick and just not
getting
making any profit, and I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe I'm doing it wrong.
That's because you're a good person. That's what a good person does. She has. sex
I,
for free.
I've done my part for the sexless Christian men. I really have. I've given
Yeah.
my share, ladies, as a
thank
liberal
you.
woman.
Mine was non-consensual.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Horribly sorry about
Yeah,
that.
and that's my only experience with like any Christian person
Oh, God.
studying to become a pastor
That's so awful.
at Oxford University.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I mean,
heavy
it's
shit.
as horrible as that is. At least you get to feel right about like not wanting to
Christians?
date these men. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
it's
I mean, I
so-
knew that from the beginning.
I only react
Yeah.
like this because I know the story you're talking about already. That's why I'm not, acting that emotionally, reactive to it because we've talked
Yeah.
about this. But yeah, it was a person who was a monster, and like a lot of monsters,
Is a monster.
it's easier to be a monster when you cloak yourself in whatever bullshit, morality you think.
Yeah,
hides
just
it.
constant denial, I think, of even just being a normal human being or, like putting on this sort of, facade of acting as if they can save and heal people and, change the world in some, or convert to, this.
Well, let me ask you an honest
ideology.
question. Do you think that these kinds of people, are they more coming from the place of because they feel some sort of moral superiority, they start feeling like they have a right to do these horrible things? Or do you think they're horrible people who found that moral superiority as a mask?
I think I would think that it's a mask. I don't know. I think that person in particular kind of just, kind of pretended and really, really wanted to pretend that he was a good person for parents or for societal kind of like worlds.
Probably to
and
convince
whatnot.
himself, too.
Yeah, I think it was just a matter of convincing himself or the people around him that like he had some sort of merit. And, but also at the same time had this other side where it was just like, I'm the cool person. I'm a cool kid, like I don't have anything wrong with me. And I invite people, it was just kind of like it seemed like it had a strange aura around it. Not so much like, I'm doing this for my life, being this.
And honestly, it's the kind of moment where you really see it, because a lot of people are good until they have to do something about it. Like a lot of people are good people until they're challenged.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that sort of situation, it's like how many people, that's the moment where you see, okay, who actually walks the walk of being a decent person and doesn't tolerate this and doesn't say, oh, well, maybe it wasn't what you said because that's inconvenient for me.
Yeah.
And it's really it is incredibly depressing that people disappoint you with that because other people we know back in L.A. There were accusations against other people, and you really see how difficult it is for people to, when it comes to their lives, condemn someone.
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh gosh, yeah.
It's really sad because that's when you really, because it's like with Trump. To make an analogy, it's like with Trump supporters. He is their test. He is their morality test. He is a test that it's almost like someone said, "What if you could get everything you want politically in terms of policy, but you had to literally align yourself with a cartoon version of your devil?"
Seriously.
And everyone who takes Trump's side with this has shown us your religious beliefs were a lie. You do not believe any of this. You were always using it as a club against people you wanted to punish for their sluttiness, for their lack of, discipline, lack of worshiping authority.
Do you think that this existed for, I know that it existed and that it's been around, but I don't feel like people actually believed these things until someone with so much authority and so much conviction that his words were right. I don't believe that all of this stuff was actually there until someone planted it in their heads, making them believe that,
Well, yes, I think you're right in that Trump inspired a certain sense of embracing everything you know is wrong.
Yes.
And embracing the butterflies in your stomach when you confront someone and act wrong. Like the butterflies you get in your stomach when you lie to someone to their face. I think Trump taught people, the Proud Boys are all about saying that's a good feeling. I want to feel that. I want to feel the adrenaline of knowing you hate me, of knowing I'm doing something naughty and wrong. I've said it before. I think it's the same basic psychological premise behind the way serial killers sexualize violence.
Yeah.
These people sexualize awkwardness and aggression.
And
troll culture.
And kind of abandoning this need to be liked. Because being I don't care what you that's Trump saying. He's I don't care what you think. I'm not one of these people. I say it like it is. They liked that whole vibe.
And they're also I'm a white male, so I guess you hate me anyway, so I might as well be a monster.
Yeah, you know what? I am a nationalist. Fuck it. I will say it. That is what we're seeing. You're oh, you say it's bad to be a Nazi? Maybe it's not. And it's kind of just. It's I think the seed was planted and he just fucking.
This is something I think has been kind of going. Granted, it's kind of exploded now, but it kind of started. I'd say in the late 70s, early 80s, with the beginning of the silent majority, when the evangelicals started kind of trying to make more of a political play, where their faith was what was dictating their politics. And then this was kind of Trump is the I guess the Ebola of that kind of thing, where he just kind of metastasized just as cancer, where it doesn't matter what he says or does as long as we, the silent majority, now have this voice and we are the majority, which they're not. But it's as long as abortions are illegal and as long as I can have my guns, it doesn't matter what he says or does to anyone else because we're going to be protected. We're the chosen people. We're the Christians, and fuck everybody else.
An important thing also that Trump recognized was that he saw that the big mistake in the Republican Party to him was that Republicans all acted like there was going to be a future. Republicans in general, while as much as I hate a lot of their policies, they were all behaving as if they knew 20, 40 years from now, people were going to look back and be like, you guys are really on the wrong side of history, and that they didn't want to be too fucked up. And then Trump was like, Republican voters are way more anti-Mexican than the average Republican politician, and that's how I'm going to beat them all. I'm going to embrace all the ugliness that the Republican politicians saw in their own voters and said, we need to kind of push that aside because I'm going to look like a monster in the history books if I really do a Pat Buchanan here and go along with this.
Well, I remember after Obama got reelected, the Republican Party had a big fucking like identity crisis, and they were really trying to get like more like Hispanic, particularly Republicans in there, and it just didn't fucking work at all. And then Trump came out of that, so it's a really interesting point
It's
because
exactly
I'm like,
right. The autopsy, the Republican autopsy
Right.
after Romney was, we're going to start speaking Spanish. We're going to
Yep.
start being nicer to immigrants. We're going to start doing all. And then they were like, you know what? Let's do the exact opposite of that.
That's just
And just say,
overcorrect.
we don't need another voter of color to ever exist. We just need every angry white man to agree with us.
and to suppress the voters of color if possible.
Now, I have to change the subject to something because it's so related to what we're talking about right now. And I think after everything we talked about, it's a really feel-good story. It's something that really, like, I think we can all kind of enjoy.
Oh my God.
And I think you know exactly what I'm getting to, Sally. The Christian missionary who was killed by the Sentinelese tribe.
I am not happy about any death, but
Is it wrong? Okay.
But here's
we have to be allowed to be happy about this one because of how many ways he was wrong.
God
no,
saves lives except for those who.
no, but here's the thing. But that island was not immunized. He was putting that entire population
still-
of the people at danger. So I'm like, oh,
We're still waiting to see if they die. It hasn't been long enough to even see if the diseases he could have exposed them to are going to kill them. There's an estimated 15 Sentinelese alive today when there were 600 100 years ago.
Right.
15.
Yeah, there's only 15 of them.
The Indian government estimates 15. Most anthropologists say it's probably closer to 50. There's not that many they don't see, but there's almost no women because
And they're
the
all
women have
on
been
that
kidnapped.
one. Oh.
Kidnapped by whom?
Pimps
Oh.
in Indonesia.
So that those, I mean, is the Sentinelese tribe, is that just on that one small island?
Yes,
or-
the Andaman Islands are a cluster of islands halfway between Indonesia and India that used to have very highly developed, well, not, when I say developed, highly, the 60,000-year-old civilizations that are essentially Stone Age. And that each different island had its own isolated tribe that had very little interaction with each other. And we know
It's
that
like
because
700 tribes, I think.
Yeah.
I was in Indonesia, in Jakarta, last year, and they were telling us about like how there are like I think 14,000 tribes and 700 islands.
Yeah, these
Holy
tiny little.
moly.
So the Andaman Islands were one of the most secluded ones ever, and there were multiple different tribes there that were so secluded that their languages were completely unrelated. So almost no one
Amazing.
none of them could even speak to each other. Almost,
Yeah.
very few people could even were even knew multiple languages. Right now on the Earth, literally, it is impossible to communicate with the Sentinelese people. There is no one on Earth who can speak both Sentinelese and another language. It's not even related to the Ong or the Jarawa, which are another.
A linguist would probably have to study it for years.
Yeah, I mean, it would take so long. You
Yeah.
have to get them, and it would take a long time. There
And
is no.
They'd die before then.
There
for
is
sure.
no Rosetta Stone, right? So these people are the most violent to outsiders. That's why they're the ones who are still alive. Because the Ong people, the Jangil people, they actually said, "Oh, hello, nice to meet you," and then they all died,
Right.
either through slaughter or through disease, because they have no genetic immunity.
Some form of colonialism killed them.
So this fucking asshole, this American from Portland, decided, and by the way, not alone, he is part of an ultra, conservative religious sect that sent him there because one of their long-term goals was to convert these people to Christianity.
He called it Satan's last stronghold.
Right,
Yeah.
because
That's crazy.
because they hadn't heard about Jesus
Yeah,
yet.
if you don't hear Jesus' name, you just fucking die.
And as you know, in Christianity, that means you go to hell.
Which is funny because Jesus, it wasn't even his name.
Yeah, and I mean, why did he concentrate on the Sentinelese people, or why did they concentrate on the Sentinelese people when there were, all these different tribes?
Well,
or
the
even
other
just,
tribes, because the Sentinelese were the single most secluded.
Right.
Because the
Okay.
Sentinelese, unlike the Ong or the Jarawas, it's so hard to say that word. It's like
Jawawas.
Jarawa. Good luck.
Chihuahuas.
Yeah, Chihuahuas. Thank you. They, who by the way, have been reduced to a few dozen people begging on the side of the road
Oh.
because they, you know why? Because they didn't fire fucking arrows at people who came there on a boat. And by the way, before this guy, first he started swimming to shore, or he was on a boat and he yelled to them, "My name is John. I love you, and Jesus loves you."
And he brought a football, right?
Yes, and he knows they don't speak English. He knows they don't speak English,
Shit gift.
and his Bible got hit with an arrow by a child. And he was talking about, I can't believe this little kid with his high-pitched voice is throwing arrows at me. And so then he waited and then went back again later.
Right. He should have just stopped there. Like, he'd still be alive if he just stopped there.
Well, he's a religious fanatic who felt like this was his chance to be God's greatest soldier.
But you would think, like, being such a religious fanatic, that it's like, you know something? God spared my life with his own word. Maybe I should figure out another way to be his soldier. He spared me for another day so that I could do something else.
He said he didn't want to die.
This guy's a kid, right? How old is
26.
he? Yeah, I'm sorry.
27.
The fucking group response, like there's some responsibility for the people who fucking pushed him and sent him to do this.
Yeah.
That's fucking bullshit.
And his mother doesn't believe he's dead.
Oh, well, I heard there's parents like we forgive these people, and I'm like, well
Well,
that's
they don't
nice.
think he's
Fuck
dead because of
you.
prayer.
We don't forgive your family for allowing this. This group sent him there to die. They sent him there to die because these are religious fanatics who believe that dying for Christ is a great thing.
Oh yeah, they want he. Did he know he was going to be like a martyr or something?
Yes. He knew that he was going to a place where they kill everyone who goes there. And he wanted to die trying to bring them Christianity because he felt like this is his one chance to be a hero, to be a saint. He thinks he's going to be a saint. This guy thinks he's going to get sainted, I think. I think he went in there thinking, I'm such
I
a
don't think
great
he's a
man.
Catholic.
Yeah, he's. I think he was
Excuse me,
Protestant.
yeah. But I
We don't have saints, but we just have celebrities.
Yeah, you people are all the same. No, I think this
You're just
guy...
getting all your Christians
Yeah,
mixed
no,
up.
I couldn't imagine a Catholic trying to do this at all in this day and age.
not that hard.
Catholics, no.
Catholics
It's just
are way
like,
too
they
reasonable.
believe in Jesus. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And also, let's not forget, this is the guy who said that God was protecting him. He thought God would protect him from getting killed. But he also thought God would protect them from him killing them with his diseases because he did not give a shit. If he went there and lived and tried to pitch Jesus and they all died of the flu, he would think he's a fucking hero.
Because they went to heaven.
Yes, because they got to learn about Jesus before they died. And not that they went to heaven, because they wouldn't have been converted first, but he would have said, well, by making sure they at least knew the option of Jesus before
had
they
a
died,
chance.
I did the right thing. Because what evangelicals tell people is whenever someone dies without ever hearing the name of Jesus, their blood is on your hands. So as long as you give them the opportunity, you're a hero. It doesn't matter if they go to hell or not. That's their choice.
I mean, that's really true. Because I grew up like evangelical Protestant, and I went on a missions trip to D.C., where I think was just the first time any of my, fellow church students saw a black person, and I think that was like it was because I'm from Idaho, and it was. So, but for missionary things, when they were preparing us for the mission, there were other missions to like Honduras and stuff in our church. But they do really go like any scar, any danger you put yourself in is like a badge of like it's like a badge of honor, like merit. Like they were talking about this one time where someone got cut on the face, and they're like, "I got this scar for Jesus," and we're like, "So cool." They really do,
well, they
like
fetishize being fed to lions.
Yes, they definitely talk about that a lot, but they really just like any harm that comes your way in service of Jesus is something to be celebrated.
Well, in ancient Christians, the earliest Christians, being eaten by the lions, people think it was Christians being fed to lions. It actually wasn't really that. For the most part, it was Christians were expected to show fealty to the emperor.
Sure.
And they were like, well, you can stay Christian, but we need you to show that you also worship the empire, worship the Roman gods as well, because the laws in Rome were you can worship wherever you want. You just have to worship our gods also. That's where the term "when in Rome, do as the Romans do" comes from.
Oh, God.
That was the actual law. Jews, like me, were allowed to be Jews if we also had their gods. And Jews, and their forebears, the Christians, also said no. So at some points, when they're being fed to lions, they were like, we don't want to have to kill all you people. We just need order. So they would say to them like, look, you can still be Christian. Just say the emperor is God publicly. Do a little dance. Bow. Do literally anything so we don't have to kill you. And they at the time were like, no.
Yeah.
We want to die for Christ because, this is when Christ had been dead for 40 years. And they're like, we want to, if we die for him, we get to be in heaven. So it was a real thing where...
Well, they thought he was going to come back at any fucking second,
Right,
too.
they thought he was going to come back in their lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely.
They all did. The Antichrist was clearly Nero. It was just an allegory for Nero.
And a fun story about how he would feed Christian lions. I heard this. He would gut a horse, a dead horse, and then tie a man in the fetal position, put him inside the horse, sew the horse up, and then feed that to a lion. Oh, isn't that nuts?
People went to too much trouble to have interesting ways to kill people.
That's like a human pizza roll or something.
It's a human.
The original Hot Pocket.
Yeah, Terhuman.
It's a human.
It's a horseman.
Oh my God.
It's so funny when you really think about the history of torture and murder, and it's just
like TV has really saved entertainment, I have to say.
People were so bored. They were just bored to death. They just had to kill people in the
I
dumbest
heard they would
ways.
just hang two kittens down that were starving and see which one killed the other one. That in medieval times. And they just be like, battle it out, kittens.
Yeah, they're just assholes.
I wouldn't be surprised if that still exists.
There's still
For YouTube views.
There is still bear baiting in Pakistan. There's still some.
What's that?
Where a bear would have to fight other animals in a ring. It still happens today. It's really horrible. It happens in remote areas.
Here.
There's dog fights in America. There's bear fight. I happen to know there are. That I was reading about it that there's still remote areas of Pakistan where they will have a dog fight like 5 pit bulls. I mean, I've a bear fight 5 pit bulls, or have give a monkey a switchblade and have it fight like a hyena. It's really, I mean, yes, I want to watch it, but
okay,
I know it's wrong.
and I'm just like, I feel like you're just pitching a web series, and I'm like, yes, I'm into it.
But that's real. The word pit bull means that it's a dog that was genetically bred to fight animals in a pit.
Yo!
Fight bulls in a pit.
Whoa!
That is what a pit bull is. They were bred to kill bulls in a pit for people to watch. Yeah, that's really
Mind bone.
I cannot wait to tell people that at bars. That's fascinating.
just like the poodle comes from the fact that after they would poop, they would draw with it.
You're kidding.
Yeah, that one I made up.
Oh my God.
But the pit bull is real.
Can we trust anything you say, Dave?
A poo doodle.
I'm a white man. You shouldn't.
A poo doodle.
Yes, they eventually shortened it.
I know a man who did a poo doodle once.
Wow.
With his body.
I'm really happy, by the way, Leah, with how open you've been with this episode.
Yes, thank you so much for
You
sharing.
really made this.
Thank you so much.
Made this worthwhile.
I'm an honest
episode.
person.
No, it really helps the show. I mean, it really does. So he drew with his poop.
Yes. Well, he's gonna hate me for talking about this, but it was my bandmate, and it was like years ago.
What's his full name?
I'm not gonna say. You
What's
can
your
figure
band's
it out.
name?
It's called The Place to Bury Strangers, and years ago, years ago.
There's only one guy in it.
Don't worry. Don't worry. It was so many years ago.
And it could have been another member that wasn't in the band. That's not in the band. I don't know. Anyways, so there was this guy, and I wasn't there at the time, but I have seen photos of it. He was very wasted. He doesn't drink anymore, which I'm very happy.
What was his rock bottom, I wonder?
I don't know if this was his
ate the
rock
poop.
bottom. Yeah. So no, he was in a hotel, and no. Before he got to the hotel, he was lying around in the grass at night, like they had just finished a show, and he was being all wacky, and then started lying around in the grass, and then he gets up, and all of a sudden, everybody else around him is like, "Dude, you got poo on your back." And he starts laughing, and he goes into the hotel room, and he's just, lathering the sheets, the hotel bed sheets with the poo, and then posing for pictures and stuff. Yeah, it's it's wonderful. I mean, and it's a lot of poo too. It's not just. Oh, God,
This is
it
why
was one of the
white middle
funniest.
Americans vote against their self-interests.
Yeah.
Because they hear stories about Californians pooping and posing with it.
Actually, he's not even from this country. So.
Oh, there you go.
That explains
Uh-oh.
it. All right. Build a wall. Those narratives.
Don't let the poo doodlers in anymore.
Yeah.
Keep the poo doodlers out.
See, now that's the kind of story that will change my mind about a people.
Well, you know
good people, though.
when Shakespeare built the Globe, the arena the famous theater.
Yes.
The way that they got investors to build it was if the plays don't bring bring people in, we can just go back to fighting animals. So when the globe was first built, that's how they got it built. The investors were like, all right, well, if it doesn't work out, just get a couple of dogs and a bear and we'll have a show. And it's
Gorgeous.
like, here's the thing. I don't know if humanity's done with it. I feel like with the way we're going right now, we are. I mean, let's be honest. If Trump was president for life, I feel like that would come back as being on TV.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like our version of it is now just we like love watching just like pundits like tear each other apart. I feel like that's like the modern day. Like we just want to see some bloodshed. We just like whatever bloodlust we have.
But I think Trump fans want literal blood.
Yeah,
I think they want dead
Why don't
journalists.
we just
still
show our
think-
menstrual cycle?
We
I
still
agree.
have like boxing, MMA, like any sort of like ring fighting, wrestling,
But
like to a lesser
The
extent.
typical
like,
Trump
here's-
supporter watches MMA and just yells "stand up" while two like world-class jiu-jitsu guys are on the ground who don't know how to throw punches.
Well, I mean, and well, football is getting in trouble because of all the concussions. So
Right.
I feel like you're right. I feel like the more that we go in a non-violent way, the more pushback there's going to be in the way that like, you know, Republican Party was kind of in a crisis and then they just went super insane.
You know what? That brings up a point I actually really want to get into that I think is I don't know how to talk about this because it's such a complicated point, but I wanted to talk about it with you guys. Hillary Clinton recently made a statement about immigration where she said that having strict immigration laws will prevent white nationalism in your country, meaning that places like, say, Italy are seeing the swing, and Germany are seeing a rise in fascism as a direct result to the fear that the native people of those countries feel toward the influx of immigrants. Now, that's the first time I've heard something on the news about Hillary Clinton that made me think, oh, she is going to run for president again. Because that is her staking out the middle and saying this is the area that does not exist in America anymore. The creeping to the more moderate Democrat, because everyone's going swinging to the sides, that's her staking out the middle. That is smack dab in the middle of
Very
politics.
much.
And here's the thing. My question is, I think that it is a trap for us liberals to say all immigration laws are wrong. I think it's a
Yes.
trap to fall into this trap, because right now, when I was in Texas, I saw multiple Ted Cruz fans actually say the words, "If you don't believe in a wall, you believe in open borders," which is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
No. But that is how it's being painted.
Exactly.
And that is how we are being addressed, so we are constantly having to talk to people with that narrative in their minds.
And what Hillary's doing, it sounds like, is trying to stake out the claim of we need to really stop that idea, because it is ridiculous. The border, having strict border control has nothing to do with the wall whatsoever.
No.
It is actually going to take money away from real border enforcement. I mean, Obama was one of the strictest
Yes.
immigration presidents we ever had.
Didn't he deport like more people than
Yes,
any
he
other
did.
president. Yeah.
Because he was, and we saw two things from that. One, that it doesn't matter how much Obama does that the Republicans like, they will pretend it never happened. They
Seriously.
will flat out lie about its existence, and they will just say you didn't do anything.
It's
so
really
it
the
showed there's
only
no
thing-
incentive for Democrats to give anything.
It's the only thing Trump isn't really trying to reverse that Obama did, was that like Obama was very quietly very into immigration, like, and very strict about it. But like everything else, like Trump is like, oh no, Obama did that, like Obamacare, we're going to get rid of this. But whereas like the immigration, like Trump hasn't even deported as many people as Obama did. But it's like it's like the hill he's going to die on, because it's like, oh, well, you know, the liberals, they're so pro open borders, when like, you know, Obama never was, but he was just quiet about it and wasn't being blatantly racist.
Yeah, they're going, they're like liberals, they're so open borders, and I'm like, not if you look at the fucking policies. Like you're attacking an imagined ideal that you think we have.
Because you heard some college student on YouTube say something that you think now represents the entire Democratic Party.
Or that's what we believe and what is actually enforced are the same fucking thing.
Right.
Well, because the Democrats have never had the crazy people in power like Republicans have. Republicans actually have their craziest people in Congress. We have a very large faction of people who are mad that they're not in power, but at this point in time, the Democrats are still in power, are still, the adults are still in power. People like to talk about Ocasio-Cortez as if she's some liberal lunatic, but you know what? She's a policy wonk. She's there. She beat Crowley because she paid attention and did her homework. She is not some Occupy homeless person.
No.
She is just a 28-year-old who doesn't have the savvy from being there 20 years yet, but she knows what the hell she's talking about.
Yeah.
And we don't have the equivalent of, whereas on the right, there are full-blown congressmen who believe in the moon landing not happening. There are full-blown congressmen out there who believe in psychotic conspiracy theories about vaccines, about autism.
Climate change.
I mean, climate change is one of the least ones, but it's the most important one because it's the one that's actually going to kill everyone of all colors.
Yes.
Congratulations. It's going to kill black and white. It's a great equalizer. I mean, I think climate change is the single most important political issue we have because it's the only one that will kill everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, racism...
Everyone has something to
Look,
lose.
Racism is a horrible problem. It is. But if I were going to say what's the more important overall in the course of history political story, would it be...
Legalizing weed.
I would say, is it the existence of the slave market or the end of human life? Mm-hmm. You still have to say end of human life because you could say, well, what about the Egyptian slaves? What about Sumerian slaves? Was their happiness worth more than the future of all human life? No. I'm saying
I think rich people think they're just gonna live in colonies on space anyway. So you know,
I heard a comedian, and I wish I could quote her because it was very funny. But she's like, I think they have a place to go.
Yeah,
exactly. There's got to be some underground layer where they will all be safe forever.
Right. Yeah, they'll be dead within 15 years, though. If they have one of those, trust me, we will eat them.
Their sex lives will be
We will
dead.
literally eat them alive. That's what's going to happen, though. That's what Republicans don't understand. It's what authoritarians don't understand. If you think you can step on poor people for this long, they're going to literally eat you.
I think they do understand. I think people are really afraid of that. Like conspiracy theorists, like my dad.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, you know what? He's a really good cook. But he really is he thinks that society is going to collapse, like that we liberals are on the verge of just snapping and just tearing everything apart, like the rich people, because he's afraid of communism and stuff, that's
right.
the evil. And I
bet he loves Putin.
So I mean, oh gosh, but
yeah,
again, he doesn't. And here's the thing: he does not like Trump. He voted for Trump because Hillary's the devil, but he. But
it's just
look at me defend.
It's just what cowardly Trump supporters say now. They always because they to avoid embarrassment, they just say, "Hey, I don't like Trump, but Obama." Shut the fuck up! You are a liar.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I don't even care. You did the damage, so your inside feelings, I'm not gonna give you a pass. But yeah, I forgot what I was going to say.
No, but they think that they're going to survive this. I mean, with SpaceX and things like that, they think that they're going to be able to leave Earth, go into space, and be on some sort of colony. And I don't know. And it's pretty much every dystopian.
We're just nowhere near scientifically at that level. That's the thing. Is they can go. They want to do it. They think they can do it, but it just doesn't exist yet.
Well, we've already had someone spend a year in.
Yeah, and it cost $1 trillion, so it's not really sustainable.
When are we all going to just realize that money's not real? Mm-hmm. And then nothing would cost anything, and we could do whatever we want. Who's with me?
You're right. Pretty soon. That's why I don't hoard gold. I hoard chickens and gasoline.
Honestly, I feel like there's going to be an economic something. So I'm not paying back my student loans. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, it's just as soon as the right wing and Trump and this entire presidency and the surrounding people get what they want, what's next? Do they just push it further, or do we just all crumble and self-destruct into?
Well, I mean, I think that it's going to be waves. We're going to come back from this. I think that I think one thing I tell all my liberal friends is you have to understand, we're going to be hitting them over the head with Trump for the rest of our lives. For the rest of our lives, Trump is going to be a punchline that they're going to be ashamed of in a way that Bush only hinted at. Because remember how we got to throw Bush in their face? Remember how many Thanksgivings you got to be like, hey, how'd that Iraq war work out for you? I was the only person in my entire family to support not invading Iraq, including the liberals, including the gay ones, including everyone in my family. And now everyone in my family hates Trump. So we have gone a good direction, except one of them, but he's ashamed of it, so he keeps quiet about it. But like that's the one good thing that came out of all those horribly killed Iraqis is I got to gloat to my family for years after about how I was right and they were all wrong. Now we should probably take a break.
Ooh.
Am I right?
Yep, sounds good.
We're going to take a quick break, which means we'll be back next week or in the studio in 5 minutes. Thank you very much to our guests, Sally Ann Hall, not her real name, and Leah Braswell.
Well, thank you.
And Marissa Smith. And
This has been Blamestorming.
all right, I got to go to my car. I'll be right back.
Wonderful. I'm going to go